Hello dear viewers and welcome to Asal Times. Today we'll be discussing the extraordinary heat wave that has swept across nearly of all Europe in recent days. Since the last day of June, temperatures in many countries have risen above 40 degrees. From France to Italy and from Spain to Germany, daily life has become more difficult for millions of people, while experts say this is no ordinary summer. You may have noticed that almost every summer we hear phrases like one of the hottest summer in history. However, according to many scientists, what we are experiencing this time is one of the most widespread and severe heat waves ever recorded. As temperature records are being broken across different regions of Europe, nighttime temperatures in some cities haven't even dropped below 30 degrees. This makes it difficult for people's bodies to cool down overnight. One of the terms meteorologists use most often is heat down. Although the name may sound a bit complicated, the concept is actually quite simple. A powerful high-pressure system forming in the upper layers of the atmosphere traps hot air beneath what is essentially a giant lid. Since the air cannot rise, it becomes increasingly compressed and heats up further. Moreover, when this system lingers over the same region for days, temperatures rise slightly each day. As a result, not only are the days unusually hot, but the nights are as well. Experts note that this atmospheric phenomenon is one of the main causes of heat wave affecting Europe this year. However, scientists also say that this alone is not a sufficient explanation. According to the latest analysis by the World Weather Attribution Group, a heat wave of this scale would have been nearly impossible without human-induced climate change. Researchers also note that nighttime temperatures in particular have become approximately 100 times more likely compared to past 20 years. In other words, the extreme heat we are experiencing today is seen as a result not only of natural weather events but also of global warming that has been accumulating for many years. The effects of heat wave are not limited to the numbers we see on the thermometer. In France, some nuclear power plants were forced to temporarily reduce their output due to excessive heating of river waters. In Germany, sections of asphalt roads softened, while in Sweden, the expansion of railroad tracks due to extreme heat disrupted transportation. In Germany, sections of asphalt roads softened, while in Sweden, the expansion of railroad tracks due to extreme heat disrupted transportation. In some cities, outdoor events were cancelled and authorities issued warnings advising people not to go outside, especially during midday hours. In Mediterranean countries like Spain and Italy, the risk of wildfires rose rapidly. Dry vegetation and low humidity mean that even a small spark can quickly turn into a major fire. As a result, fire departments in many regions operated at high alert levels for days on end. One of the places where the heat was felt most intensely was the centers. This is due to an effect known as the urban heat island. Concrete, asphalt, and tall buildings absorb energy from the sun throughout the day and slowly release it back into the atmosphere at night. As a result, these centers can remain several degrees warmer than rural areas even within the same day. According to expert opinions reported by Reuters, the temperature of some asphalt surfaces can rise above 80 degrees Celsius when directly exposed to the sun. This poses a serious problem not only for people but also for urban infrastructure. The heat wave, though, is about more than just record-breaking temperatures. In recent days, climate activists have once again taken to streets in many European cities. The message at the protest was clear: extreme heat is no longer an exceptional occurrence and climate change has become a part of daily life. Activists demanded that governments increase investment in renewable energy, make cities more resilient to extreme heat, and accelerate policies to reduce carbon emissions. Although these actions occasionally disrupted transportation, their primary goal was to draw public attention to the growing climate crisis. Scientists are also highlighting a similar point. According to the latest analysis, it would have been nearly impossible for this heat wave in Europe to be this severe without human-induced climate change. Researchers estimate that if a similar heat wave had occurred in the 1970s, average temperatures would have been approximately 3.5 degrees lower than they are today. While this difference may seem small, it significantly amplifies the impact of extreme weather events. The effects of the heat were not limited to humans. Glaciers in Switzerland reached glossary lost day, the dates when the snow accumulated over the winter has completely melted, and ice that is decades or even centuries old begins to melt weeks earlier than usual this year. Experts note that in some regions approximately 1.5 meters of ice has disappeared in just 2 weeks. According to calculation, the glacial meltwater in June was so abundant that it could have filled an Olympic-sized swimming pool every 6 seconds for 2 weeks. According to experts, this is a harbinger not only of today but also of the future. This is because glaciers are not merely part of the landscape. They supply drinking water sources for millions of people, regulate river flows, and maintain the balance of ecosystems. The rapid shrinkage of glaciers could directly affect many areas from water resources to agriculture in the coming years. For this reason, many European cities have begun working on new solutions. Increased tree planting, green roofs, cooling centers, shading extends on open spaces, and early heat warnings are now becoming an important part of the urban planning. Experts say that while it's not possible to completely halt climate change in the short term, preparing cities for these new conditions can significantly mitigate its effects. This heat wave in Europe has shown us once again that climate change is no longer just a topic we read about in scientific reports. With record-breaking temperatures, melting glaciers, and changing living conditions, we are feeling its effects more actually with each passing years. How frequently these events will occur in the coming years will largely depend on the decisions we make today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to subscribe. As always, it was Household Times.